What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monty Sports Show. It is Sunday, November 29th, 2020. I am your host, Monty Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. I want to thank everyone for tuning in last week. We had 35 states across the country watch the full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube, and we are trending number 3. We are trending number 3 on YouTube for sports shows. So if you like this show, sports and comedy, definitely tell one family friend, one family member, one friend, and let's get us trending to number 1. Also want to thank Laura, our new drinking card. Anytime I say one of these words, we have a shot, we have a drink of coffee, we have some orange juice, mimosas, whatever you're drinking. So thank you for that, Laura. And of course, we have the best guests all across the country. This week is no exception. In about 20 minutes, Anna Lewis is going to join us, talk about the Tennessee Titans, what a matchup they have today against the Indianapolis Colts. And then John Meyer at 11:45 will talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 18-1 in their last 19 games, going up against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tom Brady, desperate for a win. And of course, at the top of the hour, Rico, show me the money, Graziano is going to join us. Rico has 9 winning weeks, and only 2 losing weeks against the spread. He's done a tremendous job. Big round of applause for Rico. He's winning a lot of people money. But of course, obviously, keep the comments coming. How can I even forget that? Look at Laura already starting out. Her drinks are ready. Her drinks are ready. But let's start today's journey with this. My sister Diane always says to me that I'm never too high, I'm never too low. I don't show any emotion. I disagree with that 100%. The only thing that I don't do is I don't panic. I don't panic, never panicked as a kid, don't panic as an adult. I could be stressed out about a numerous amount of things. I do not panic. The last time I panicked was right before I moved down to Florida. I went on a date with this woman. It was our first date. And we get to the restaurant and she orders market value lobster. Market price value. Now, I only had about $160 to spend. I was a little nervous when she orders market price lobster because I didn't know how much that was going to cost. So I asked the waiter. Now, before I tell you what I asked the waiter, I got to tell you, the waiter looked exactly like Danny DeVito. That has no significance to the story, but I need you to know that for some reason. He looked exactly like Danny DeVito. So when she orders the market value lobster, I look at the waiter and I say, hey, what did lobster close at today at the market? Like I'm all of a sudden the Wolf of Wall Street and I know the stock market. And I don't know what I expected from the waiter. Maybe I expected him to be Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting, like a secret genius. Like, yeah, he's a waiter, but he's also a genius and he plays the stock market. But no. The waiter looks at me and says, dude, I live in a 1-bedroom trailer park with my mom who works at IHOP. My sofa is outside. We don't play the market. So I start panicking. I go to the bathroom and I'm Googling NASDAQ to see what lobster closed at, and I don't get any service in the bathroom. Now, just think about a second how panic stricken I am. I'm thinking that market value lobster is not what the fisherman who caught it is charging. I'm thinking it's what on the stock market. Panic stricken. So I come back and I calm down. She asked me, are you all right? You're sweating. I'm sweating because you just ordered probably $100 lobster, and all I have is $160 to spend on this dinner to a woman who I don't even think I like. So I order a salad and just tell her that I'm dieting, and a crisis avoided. Now, I know you want to know how much the lobster was. The lobster cost $69.99. That was the market price value. Turned out okay. The bill was about $120. Left the waiter $30. Everything worked out. But again, I don't panic outwardly. But I've seen people panic all the time. I don't like watching people panic in their everyday life, but we've seen it thousands of times. in sports. Thousands. I saw it this weekend. Tyler Show, my Oregon quarterback, absolutely panicked in a game that used to be called the Civil War, where Oregon lost to Oregon State. He's a sophomore. He panicked so bad, threw in 2 interceptions, didn't see open wide receivers. The moment was too big for him. You know who doesn't panic? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was down 21, 24 points last year in the playoffs. He doesn't panic. He doesn't panic. And that's good because I like people who don't panic. But I'm going to tell you a story when I was a kid how someone totally panicked. Totally panicked. Now, I was on a 5th and 6th grade baseball team. 5th and 6th grade baseball team. And the best kid on the team was in 6th grade. And he reminded me of Biff. He was the biggest. He was the strongest. He was the bully. And his dad was the head coach. His name was Mike. Now, Mike never bullied me because, like I said, even though I was in 5th grade, I was a very good baseball player, and I batted 3rd, he batted 4th. But he was not the brightest tool in the shed. One time, me and my friends were joking around, and he said, "What's so funny? What are you nerds talking about?" And I said, "Oh, you had to be there." And he said, "Oh, I don't like geography jokes." What? Yeah. He was Biff before Biff. So, now we also had 2 kids on the team. They batted 9th and they batted 1st. They were twins. They were the most unathletic, smallest, the worst athletes I've ever seen, had no business playing baseball, but their dad was the assistant coach and he was about 5 foot. Picture the worst 2 kids on Bad News Bears. That was these 2 twins. Okay, so it's the last game of the season. If we lose, we don't make the playoffs. If we win, we're in. Real simple. We are down 6-5. 6-5. We got to score a run in the bottom of the 6th inning, which is the last inning. If we don't score, season over. So the twin is up, the leadoff batter. He's up. And all of a sudden, he walks. And the dad is going crazy. The kid runs down the first. The father is the first base coach. And the catcher is just standing there, standing up with the ball, daring the kid to run. So the father yells, "Run, run, run," like 4 times, screaming at him. The kid still doesn't run. The look of panic on this little kid's face, I'll still remember it 30 years later. He runs to second. Now, as he's running to second, I'm like, this is not happening. This is like people are starting to cheer. The catcher throws it, but the pitcher doesn't know what's going on, and he catches the ball. The pitcher didn't know what's going on. He turns around. He throws it to the second baseman. It goes over the second baseman's head. Again, the father's like, "Run, run." The kid runs to third. He's out of breath. He can't even breathe. The outfielder throws it over the third base head. The father's yelling, "Run." This is going to be an inside the park home run off a walk. This is unprecedented. It's going to be on Sports Center. Now, as the kid's running home, the father from the first base coach starts running, celebrating, running up the first baseline, screaming, "We did it! We did it!" Going nuts. The crowd is going nuts. My team is going nuts. And I'm like, this is not happening. So the kid slides into home. Before the umpire can even make a call, the father runs to him and picks him up like he's the Lion King. The umpire taps the father on the shoulder and says, "It was only ball 3. It was only ball 3. The kid never walked." So and I knew that it was ball 3. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Did they change the rules for this kid? So he gets back up. He strikes out right away. Out. Okay. Now, second batter gets up, strikes out. Now I'm up. Before I get up to bat, I tell Mike, the bully, I say, look, this pitcher's throwing a fastball every time. I'm getting a hit, drive me in. All of a sudden, I'm Derek Jeter in 5th grade, scouting pitchers. And you see Derek G there with the brain trust of Joe Girardi and Joe Torre. So Mike says, good. First pitch comes, fastball. Boom. Down the line. I hit a double. Now Mike, who's the best player in the league, is now going to drive me in. People are like, come on. Everyone's cheering. We're going to the playoffs. We're going to the playoffs. Mike takes the first strike. Mike takes a ball. Mike takes a second strike. Mike takes a ball. Mike takes a ball. It is now 3-2. Mike calls timeout and starts walking towards me, right past the pitcher. He wants to talk to me. He goes, what should I do? I said, Mike, he's going to throw you a fastball. Hit it. Fastball comes in. Boom. Strikes out looking. Never in 6 pitches didn't get the bat off the ball. He throws his bat down. He takes his helmet off. He runs up a tree behind first base, and he's crying like he's Ahmad from the Bad News Bears. He totally panicked. We lose the game. The moment was too big for him. Now, to make matters worse, the end of the year comes. We have a banquet dinner for the baseball team. Mike says to me, I'm not getting the MVP because his dad's the coach. He's not giving it to me. So, okay, I'm getting the MVP. Done deal. I batted like .550. I led the league in stolen bases. Yeah, I'm getting the MVP. But no, that doesn't happen. Who gets the MVP? The two twins. The two twins who combined 1 hit between the two of them. I start screaming, you can't be serious. You can't be serious. I've been robbed. Yeah, I've been robbed. It's been 30 years. I just saw before I got on here, I just saw a clip of Kevin Durant winning the MVP. And every time I see an award show, I'm still bitter. 30 years later, they gave the MVP of our team to these two pygmy mutant kids. Because Mike panicked, and these kids never got a hit. Why didn't I win? Why didn't I win? No, I'm not bitter. So, Diane, yes, I do have emotions. Anger and bitterness about my failed sports career. All right, let's move. We start each. My sister says I have no emotion. I don't know how she could say that. We start each show with the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, let's talk about the good. Here's Sean McVay. He's a hunk. He's a hunk. We talk about halftime adjustments all the time. Everyone brings up Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. They make adjustments. But can we talk about Sean McVay and the Rams? Sean McVay is 32-0. 32-0 when winning at halftime. He's never lost if the Rams are ahead at halftime. Never lost. So you want to talk about great coaches. You want to talk about, people who make adjustments. Let's talk about Sean McVay, 32-0. Now to the bad. 32-0 Sean McVay when winning at halftime. All right, now to the bad. So Tom Brady didn't shake hands with Nick Foles after the Bears beat them this season 20-19. If you remember that game, that's where Brady forgot it was 3rd down, and on 4th down he threw an incompletion. He forgot what down it was. The Rams, 27-24, Sean McVay's team. He doesn't shake Jared Goff's hands. Look, I don't want my guys to be role models. I say this all the time. As a former coach, as a former trainer, as a former boss, I won't do anything. I won't ask you to do anything that I'm not asking anyone else to do. Tom Brady is an absolute disgrace. If this was Cam Newton or Lamar Jackson or a black quarterback, the media would be all over it saying he has a bad attitude, he's a sore loser, he needs to grow the hell up. This is not the Super Bowl. This is not a playoff game. I can see you not shaking hands after a playoff game. Your season is over. Hell, I had a kid run up a tree and cry when our season was over. So I could see that Tom Brady doesn't want to shake someone's hand. But don't do it. Don't do it during the regular season. Have some class. Grow the hell up. The world doesn't revolve around you. And now, unfortunately, to the ugly. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, despite the surge of COVID-19 cases in Texas and across the country, Dallas Cowboy owner Jerry Jones plans an aggressive approach to continue playing and packing the stands. Jones says he wants more than 30,000 people at AT&T Stadium. My plan is to increase the fans every week. We have a pandemic. Okay, I posted a video yesterday of me riding my bike here in Florida. No one wearing a mask. Jerry Jones wants more fans in the stadium. The Denver Broncos don't have three quarterbacks who can play today because of COVID. They're switching the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game to Tuesday because of COVID. And Jerry Jones, like the typical radical right wing, entitled, I live in a bubble billionaire, doesn't give a rat's ass about people's safety. He just wants more money, and he's a disgrace. And that's why, you know what, Jerry? Forget about the fans. How about going to the NFC Championship for once? It's been since 1995 since you went to an NFC Championship. So having fans in the stadium is not your problem. It's your crappy decision-making that's the problem. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. And there you have it. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly. So now we break down every game in the NFL, except the games that our guests talk about. So we're going to break down the NFL right now, but I got to tell you, I had a terrible week last week. I only had 3 wins, but I am 88, 34, and 1 picking games. I am 54 games above 500 picking games. Why am I yelling? Why am I yelling? I should be happy. I'm 54 games above 500 picking games. My little dance. 54 games above 500. Is that annoying? If I just sat there and did this when someone made a good point, would that be annoying? Because it's annoying me right now. All right, let's get to it. Okay, the 10-4 Dolphins at the 0-10 Jets. Miami has won 5 of 6 against the Jets. 5 of 6 against the Jets. I expect Tua to play well this game. I expect the Dolphins defense to force a few turnovers. The Jets are terrible, and the best thing they could do is lose every game, so they get Trevor Lawrence. Take the Dolphins here. I'm going to take the Dolphins here 27-17. Cardinals 6-4 at the 4-6 Patriots. New England is only averaging 20.9 points per game. That is the fewest since 2000. But some good news. Of the league's current starting quarterbacks going into the season, Bill Belichick has faced quarterbacks that were either in the league 1 or 2 years, and they are 4-10 against him. That ends today. Make it 5-10, 23-20. Cardinals win. Kyler Murray pulls it out. 4-7 Panthers at the 4-6 Vikings. Look, we know that Dalvin Cook could be the best running back in the league. Dallas beat Minnesota last week. After losing, Dallas got creamed by the Washington football team. Creamed. So the Vikings here, after losing to the Cowboys, really need to get things right if they want to make the playoffs. I'm going to take Minnesota 27-23. 7-3 Browns at the 1-9 Jags. Look, everyone wants to talk about the Browns and their 2 running backs, and rightly so. But think about this. The Browns only allowed 13 points per game since week 8. That is the second fewest in the NFL. I expect Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both to run for over 100 yards. Take the Browns in a blowout here, 30-13. 3-7 Giants at the 2-7-1 Bengals. There is no Joe Burrow. He's out for the season. But listen to this. Giants are 0-5 against non-NFC East opponents this season. But I believe the Giants dominate this game and take the Giants here 33-20. Game of the day for me. 3-7 Chargers at the 7-3 Bills. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Keenan Allen and Stephon Diggs from the Chargers and the Bills are 1 and 2 in receptions. I expect Josh Allen and my boy Justin Herbert, who's going to win Rookie of the Year, both to throw for over 300 yards. Take the Bills 34-30. 6-4 Raiders at the 3-7 Falcons. The Raiders are 4-1 on the road this year. Atlanta played terrible against the Saints. Couldn't protect Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan got me 0.72 fantasy points. 0.72. Not even one. Matt Ryan. Take the Raiders here. 29-24. Saints at the 8-2 Saints at the Broncos. The Broncos don't have a quarterback. I don't know what they're going to do. All of them have tested positive for COVID. Take the Saints defense here if you're doing fantasy. Take the Saints big. 33-17. Seahawks 7-3 Seahawks at the 3-6-1 Eagles. The Seahawks are 10-1 on Thursday night since 2000. So when other teams don't really prepare well on Thursday, the Seahawks win on short rest. They now have long rest. Although Seattle is 5-0 at home, they're 2-3 on the road. I think the Seattle Seahawks roll here 30-23. Now, I just want to say something here before we get Anna Lewis on. Look, I'm tired of watching the Detroit Lions, who haven't been to an NFC championship since 1991, on Thursday. I'm tired of watching the Dallas Cowboys, who haven't been to an NFC championship since 1995. And how about the Washington football team trolling the president when they posted this record and they said stop the count because they're in first place? I thought that was pretty funny. But let me just say this. Don't tell me that Dallas and Detroit have to be on because it's tradition, because that doesn't fly with me. Because tradition means nothing in the NFL. If there was no tradition, the Steelers wouldn't have 2 Super Bowls because they won as a wild card. Same with the Giants. Okay, we didn't have 2-point conversions. We didn't have onside kicks. We didn't have Thursday night games. We didn't have Sunday night games. So don't tell me we have to watch the crappy Lions every Thursday on Thanksgiving because it's tradition, and the crappy Cowboys. NFL, you evolve every year. Evolve with this. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. And again, I am 54 games above 500, picking games on the NFL. Let's bring in Anna Lewis right now. Anna, thanks so much for coming on this morning. I know you were a little bit busy, so I appreciate you making the time.
No, I appreciate you having me, and I apologize for all the the commotion.
No commotion at all. I wanted to get you on because, look, this is a huge, huge game. The Titans are 7-3, taking on the Colts, who really embarrassed them last game. But before we get into all that, can we talk about Ryan Tannehill? He's got 5 game-winning drives. That is the most in the NFL. We thought this guy was a game manager coming into the year. What has been the difference with this quarterback?
Yeah, so I am probably not the best person to ask about this because I'm not a huge I'm a Ryan Tannehill fan through and through because he's my quarterback. But I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, he deserves XYZ. Like, he deserves to be MVP. Absolutely not. His game hinges on Derrick Henry all day. And you can say it doesn't, but it 100% does. If Derrick Henry is not a threat, if Jeremy McNichols is not a threat, if Deontay Foreman is not a threat, Ryan Tannehill's game struggles because he plays too safe. And your superstar quarterbacks don't play safe. So a lot of Titans fans don't like when I get on my Ryan Tannehill tangent on Twitter or on my show or whatever. But and like I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan. I think he deserves to be here because he does offer consistency. But I don't think that you're ever going to see him put up Drew Brees numbers or Tom Brady numbers. And he's definitely not a Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson. So I know you wanted to ask if he was underrated by the media. I'm one of the people that'll say he's not. I think he is a game manager, which is not an insult at all. Like, if I'm saying someone's a game manager, it means I know I can depend on you. You're not going to mess up. You're not going to make big mistakes. And I want that.
My favorite player of all time is Marcus Mariota. So I always have I have a little bitterness towards Ryan Tannehill. No, I agree with everything you're saying. I think without Derrick Henry and this, I mean, look, I'm going to post this. This was just the meme that just, against the Bills, where he literally throws everyone. Look, 1,079 yards. I think he's I think he'd be better suited to, because I've seen him take screens for 90 yards. But when they get down, they sort of like abandon him and don't even think about him running routes in the passing game. Can we make the argument, though, that he is by far the MVP? The last time someone won the MVP was a running back was Adrian Peterson. But, I mean, without him, this team is under 500.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, obviously I'm biased and I'm a huge Derrick Henry fan. I loved him in Alabama even. And I'm not an Alabama fan at all, but he's just fun to watch because his game is different and it brings it back to, 20 years ago of just pound the football. And he's a total freak of nature. Like the way he moves is incredible. So Derrick Henry is a lot of fun to watch and his numbers are insane this year. So he's leading the NFL, correct? In rushing yards?
Yes, 1,079 rushing.
Yeah, and then you get down to yards after contact, and he would be third. I read this yesterday. He would be third in the NFL if you just counted his yards after contact at like 814 yards. So that alone is like, that's a different guy. So to me, Derrick Henry, especially if this team goes to the AFC Championship or even the Super Bowl, you have to give him the MVP because he has made the impact on that team. Now, the Titans always seem to get downplayed in the national media, and that's what I think will hurt him. But the 1 week that we weren't downplayed, we really were bad. So, so I'm good with being downplayed all day. But I hope that Derrick Henry continues to get the credit that he deserves because he's just different. He's built different.
I just got to take a little moment here. I think I said the Jets. I said Drew Brees. I said Marcus Mariota. So cheers, everyone, as we play the little bingo drinking game here. So, all right, let's talk about this defense because, they can't get off the field. Right? Oh, let me fix this here. They can't get off the field. They are 50th, allowing 54% on third down. What's going on with this defense? Are we just relegated to the fact that maybe this year Mike Vrabel's defense is not going to be as good, is not going to be as dominating as we've expected them to come? Because when I think of Mike Vrabel, I think of running the ball and I think of putting pressure on the quarterback and just, 3 and outs. They're not doing that this year.
No, they're not. And it's been really disappointing. And anybody that's in this that follows me on Twitter knows that I get on my little tangent about this because I was a defensive coach. And it's been frustrating because Mike Vrabel is a fantastic head coach. And he was a lot of fun when he was playing. He was fun to watch. So when you look at the setup he has and all the talent that he has on defense, and then to see him go, you know what, I'm going to be the play caller. I'm going to, have my linebacker coach Shane Bowen run it, all that. It's like, okay, I said when he announced that, I was like, this is going to be really, really good or it's going to be really, really bad. And that's what we're seeing right now is like Mike Vrabel is a great head coach. He might, there's just so much when you're a head coach, you can't take on a coordinator position as well. It never works out well. So I would love to see him. I mean, obviously I love Dean Pease. A lot of people actually didn't love Dean Pease, which I didn't know until this year, because they didn't like his loose coverage style, but he always paired it with a really effective pass rush and he'd have at least 2 of the receivers locked up off the line. So I like Dean Pease playing style. Somebody else that I have seen be interviewed several times is Wade Phillips. And he said in an interview a couple weeks ago, there's one team in particular I would love to go help right now. And I know he was talking about us because he has the tools here.
Yeah, people say Matt Patricia, he was a disaster in Detroit. I agree with you. Like Wade Phillips is great for like 3 years. The first 3 years he goes to a team, he turns them around right away. They could be ranked like 30th. They'll move up to like 17th, 5th, 3rd. And then for some reason, Wade Phillips warms out his welcome. But I agree with you. I think someone like Wade Phillips would be a perfect fit for them. So let's talk about the game today because, look, on November 12th, I was shocked. The Colts physically manhandled the Titans from start to finish, 34-17. What went wrong in this game?
Yeah, a lot. So we'll start there. A lot of people don't agree with my take on that game, and I completely understand. But for me, you pay a quarterback, you pay a running back to finish drives and score. And right before that terrible, terrible punt, we were going 3 and out, and that's the whole reason we punted that little 20-yard punt, and that was the turning point. So from that point on, the game had completely changed. And, they scored off that. You can't expect your defense to stop the drive on the 25-yard line. Like, that's where they started. That was your starting field position. And then to have a blocked punt score, that's 14 points right there, pretty much caused by special teams. Then we missed a field goal. That's another 3 points that's gone because of special teams. And then at the very end of the game, I was there, and I was really disappointed because you could tell they gave up. In the fourth quarter, we had like 9 minutes. We could have kicked a 30-yard field goal. And then trusted our defense to make a couple stops and try to win that game. But they gave up. They didn't even go for the field goal. They went for it on fourth. So I don't know. I had a lot of issues with that game. I think it started. A lot of people say it started with special teams. Technically, yes, but it really started with the offense not being able to finish. I know a lot of people. I don't know if you saw this, but a lot of people were referring to the. It was like 28 straight plays or something like that from the end of the first half through the first part of the second half, where it was all Colts offense, and people were like, "Oh, the defense has to get off." Absolutely. But the defense also held them to 3 points in that stretch.
Right, bend but don't break type of situation.
Yeah.
I think the problem here is, we'll get into this game, but the Colts have such a good offensive line, and the weakness of the Titans is third down, and part of that reason is they don't sack the quarterback. So if you give Phillip Rivers time, we saw this with the Packers last week. Phillip Rivers can be effective if you don't put pressure on him. Is Mike Vrabel's system, as Ryan Harris says, is it Mike Vrabel out of touch, or could it be that the Colts have such a good coaching staff? We've seen the Eagles absolutely struggle since their offensive coordinator became the head coach of the Colts. And when you play division teams, there's no secrets. So could it be that the Colts simply figured them out?
Yeah, so there's a couple things, and also I love that Ryan is here. Ryan is actually one of my podcast hosts over at the Stadium Network. Yeah, so hey Ryan, good to see you this morning.
Ryan, good job.
But it's a couple of things. So, like, obviously, I actually really like the coaching staff at Indianapolis. I think they've done a good job. And you're right, there's no secrets in a divisional matchup. So it's a combination of a few things. And I wanted to go back to something that I actually saw Ryan say earlier. I think you popped up on the screen. Was like, this system that we're trying to implement at the Titans for the defense, I assume is what he's talking about, because I think that's what we were talking about in that moment, is struggling, and it's not working because we don't have enough pressure. And then we also aren't having the same coverage that we used to. So it's bend, don't break, but we're letting them march 90 yards down the field because we're giving them 7 yards every play. So you get a lot of first downs that way.
What shocked me so much is, great point here by George Lopez. The Colts physically manhandled them. You don't see a Mike Vrabel team get pushed around. They got punched in the face and they had no answers.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really frustrating to watch because as a Titans fan, as a lifelong Titan fan, that is the franchise identity, is tough. I mean, right now we're running with the Tennessee tough because of, we had the tornado hit at the beginning of the year and they started this Tennessee tough campaign. It's been really cool because that's been the identity of this franchise for 20 years. And you never want to see your team get pushed around, but like maybe if it's the Chiefs, it hurts less. But when it's the Colts, it's like, oh, like, I can't watch this. But today, if we lose today, it's going to be a rough one.
Well, yeah, that's what my next point is. Break this down. What adjustments that have to be made? Look, you cannot abandon Derrick Henry in the second half.
No.
So I expect, although the Colts rushing defense is very good, I expect this to be a game of wills, and I expect them to force feed Henry early and often. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, look at the people that are out on the Colts defensive side of the ball. They're missing, I think it's like 3 defensive linemen. They're missing a couple linebackers. They're missing DeForest Buckner is out. And that was the big name that stood out to me. I was like, oh, that's a Derrick Henry game all day. And Derrick Henry's hot right now. So they have to keep feeding him because we all know when the cold weather hits, his style of play feels a little bit different. And people can say all day long that they're not going to not tackle him, but they might think about it. And whenever you hesitate with Derrick Henry, he's going to put you on the ground. So I think you see a lot of feeding Derrick Henry. We have to stick to that game plan. And I know with the injuries that went out that is the game plan. It's not going to be a passing day. It's going to be a running day. And you might see Foreman and McNichols get in there and make a couple of runs themselves, which is fine because those guys are tough too. And it's funny, like they're a lot smaller than Derrick Henry, but they are not small at all.
No,
they're big guys.
Small compared to Derrick Henry, though.
Right. I saw when he did a promo with FedEx where he was giving his offensive lineman a Christmas present. It was just a commercial for them, but he was standing next to Ben Jones, our center, and they're like the same size. I was like, this is wild.
No, it's amazing. Listen, so break this game down. Give us a score. Are you confident going into this game? Obviously, losing DeForest Buckner, my friend Jared's a huge San Francisco 49er fan. I said
Uh-huh.
when the Colts got him, that may be the best. He was just starting to play really well. Then he gets
Yeah.
hurt against the Packers. So you're confident going into this game?
I am cautiously optimistic because it's Indianapolis. They are also missing their center. So I think this is a really good day. Jeffrey Simmons is a true like 3 technique through and through, but I think you'll see him line up down the middle a little bit more and try to make plays that way. So I would look out for Jeffrey Simmons to have a big day today too, because their starting center is out, and that's always the center is such a crucial position at the line because they do have several roles. But when that person changes last minute due to something like COVID, it changes the game and it changes how the offense functions. So we've got to get in Phillip Rivers' face. It doesn't necessarily have to be he's got to be on his butt early, but he's got to think. He's got to think, crap, somebody's coming for me. Rush that. It's called a pass rush for a reason. And then once you get him thinking about himself twice, I mean 3 times, really
he gets
hesitating.
Happy feet a lot. So yeah, he gets happy feet. Definitely try to blitz him up the middle, so he's got to move laterally. So we're talking with Anna Lewis here. We're on the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube. We're going to get John Meyer on in about 2-3 minutes. Anna,
awesome.
Can you see that this team is an AFC Championship or bust? The way I look at it now, I think the 4 best teams, arguably, you could say are the Chiefs, the Titans, the Steelers, and then maybe the Saints, and we don't even know what they're doing with quarterback. So I think 3 of the 4 best teams are in the AFC. Can you make that argument? And if they don't get to the AFC Championship, is it a step back?
Yeah, so this year I'm just nervous because we all did go in with such high hopes because of the way they performed last year. A lot of people are forgetting we lost Jayon Brown last week. He is out with he pretty much broke his elbow. I don't know what the full extent of the injury was, but he's out for the season. And he's a really, really good coverage linebacker. He's probably one of the best coverage mics in the league. So that was a huge loss for our defense. I'm interested to see how we adjust. The guy that we've got, with the green dot now, I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. So I think we've got to see how the defense looks without one of their key guys first before I can make that claim. So maybe have me on in a couple of weeks and we can talk about it then. But I also think another good team is the Rams. I don't give the Rams a lot of credit because my boyfriend is actually a big Rams fan, and it's a point of tension in this house. But because I always get that argument.
Friend,
I'm like, all right.
No, our good friend George Lopez, he comes on and talks about the Rams. He said, I think the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Rams are the 3 most complete teams. A lot of people say, the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense is only giving up 17 points a game. But I'm going to say right here.
The Chiefs defense is still ridiculous.
No, it's very good. Listen, Anna, I've been doing the show now 10 weeks from YouTube. We used to do a podcast. You've gotten more compliments in the last 5 minutes than I've gotten doing 10 weeks. Look at this. I mean, they just keep coming.
Nice.
Look at this. I mean, they don't talk to me like that, but they talk to you like that. So that's good. So
you guys are sweet.
So Anna, we'll have you on in a couple of weeks. Give us a prediction and a score for this game. I'm going to put you on the spot. Colts Titans right today.
I think the Titans have a big offensive game because Derrick Henry is going to eat on that defense that's missing so many players. So I'm going to put it at 28-17 Titans. I think you have to win. I think you have to win by double digits to make a statement to make up for the last game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the Titans win here. I think they're much more physical, and I think that they take it to the Colts today, and I think they do win by at least a touchdown. Anna, how can we follow you? Thanks so much for jumping on. I know you're busy this afternoon, so thanks. How can we follow you? How can we support you?
Yeah, so my handle's right here, but it's at Anna_Lewis35. And then the network that I represent is the Say It Again Network. So we're at the SIA Network. And you can find all of our podcast shows there. If you're a Titans fan, Albert Hainsworth is my co-host now. So
nice. Very nice.
It's been really fun. So definitely come check out his insight because he's a big defensive guy, as you guys know. And he's also a big fan of Big Jeff, which I love because I'm like the biggest Jeffrey Simmons fan ever. So
Anna, please post those episodes on my page so I can retweet them and people can see you there.
Absolutely. Right? Well, thank you so much, Monty. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, we'll have you on again in a few weeks. Love having you on. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Take care, Anna. That was Anna Lewis. Does a tremendous job covering the Titans. And now I'm so excited to bring on John Meyer because I've bought into the Chiefs. John, how are you today? Love your background.
Thank you. The baby back there brings everything together, I think.
Yes.
Good to be on, Monty. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Listen, let's get right to it. Okay, Chiefs 18-1 in their last 19 games. Can I make the argument, other than the Steelers, the Chiefs and the Steelers are the two most complete teams in the NFL?
I think it's a pretty easy yes for that question. When you got the quarterback and the head coach combination down, the rest of the pieces kind of fall into place from that point. And Brett Veach has just done a real good job of putting this roster together. Here in the last month, he's just stolen a couple pieces because of I'm going to say COVID-related things with Le'Veon Bell and DeAndre Baker. To get those two for next to nothing over the last month has been, that's great. We're locked solid with the running back, the wide receiver, the tight end, the skill positions there. We have adequate offensive and defensive lines. I'm a little disappointed with the defensive line and how they performed so far this season, but hopefully they make that push that they did towards the end of last season and being disruptive up front. The linebackers, I'm not happy with them. They've been adequate. Anthony Hitchens has played well here of late.
That's really their weakness on defense. I mean, they have 19 sacks on the season, but if you had to put a weakness, would you say it's their linebackers?
Tackling, and that starts with the linebackers, I'd say. I don't understand Spag's thought process on not playing Willie Gaymore. He's graded out fairly well over the last 6 weeks from that position, but they keep on wanting to throw Ben Neiman out there, and I just don't get it. But Willie Gay's been a spark. Anthony Hitchens, like I said, has done well. The secondary, a lot of what they do well is dependent on the pass rush, and the last 3 weeks that hasn't been good at all. So, like I said, I hope that starts trending upwards. But the roster as a whole, it's really hard to say that they're not the best in football. Like you said, 18-1, 19-1 over whatever the last calendar year. It's hard to argue.
No, it's hard to argue. Listen, we talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the rookie out of LSU, averaging 4.7 yards per carry, has 29 catches on the year. Le'Veon Bell played a little bit last week, looked very well. Do you expect Clyde Edwards-Helaire to play lesser of a role now, because we've seen rookie running backs hit that wall game 11, game 12, and when you have such an adequate and above average running back that they have backing him up, do you expect him to get a few less touches?
I'm going to say yes, and I don't think it's going to be anything that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is doing wrong or anything going wrong with the offense. I just think Le'Veon's going to deserve those touches, and Eric Bieniemy is going to do a good job of trying to get touches to that hot hand and do whatever it does, whatever he needs to do to spread that ball around. Le'Veon's going to get his touches. Clyde's going to get his touches. I think Clyde's done a lot better job of running between the tackles here over the last few weeks. So that's been a plus. The Chiefs just kind of shy away from the run from time to time. They'll go out the first couple drives.
That's Andy Reid, though. That's Andy Reid.
That is Andy Reid, and Andy's can't come out and said after a couple of the close wins that he abandoned the run game way too quickly. And there's been some games like the Jets game where they were just begging Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, a lot of people are talking about your background. Can you get one of the pictures of your baby back there and show it on camera? Because I'm getting texts like that. Craziness. That's awesome. Look at
that. So this is the little Patrick Mahomes. We have some 3-month pictures coming here in a couple of weeks, so maybe we'll have some more Chief stuff.
So that's a Patrick Mahomes wig you put on him.
Yeah. So a couple.
Hold that up one more time, John.
What's that?
Hold that up one more time for people to see the picture.
Let's get my ugly mug out of here.
That is so adorable. He looks so happy, too.
Yeah, he is really a great baby. So we've been truly blessed. A couple of Melissa's friends have made him those Patrick Mahomes wigs. We got a Andy Reid hat wig out there for him. He's going to hate it here in 10 years or so, but
so adorable. All right, listen, I want to talk about the best four in the NFL. There's no other way to put it, but before we get into their offense, George Lopez brought up a great point. Did the Raiders find something against this Chiefs defense because they scored a lot of points against them? Do you think maybe teams will expose them? Did you see something that the Raiders did in the 2 weeks they played them that maybe other teams could exploit?
They protected Derek Carr. They negated our pass rush 100%. I think Chris Jones attacked our secondary more than he attacked Derek Carr on Sunday night on the sidelines. I think they have a good offensive line there in Las Vegas. I've watched other games, and Derek Carr threw for less than 200 yards for 3 straight games. But every time he's played the Chiefs over the last 2 seasons, he looks like a Hall of Famer. And that's because they're keeping him upright, and he has some good weapons there in Las Vegas. I don't know if it's a recipe for success. This Sunday, the Chiefs are going to have to get to Tom Brady, or he's going to be as successful as Derek Carr was on Sunday night. Division games are tough, and John Gruden's a good coach. Derek Carr's an adequate quarterback. I don't think he's as good as the Chiefs have made him look 2 times this season.
No, he's played very well since Gruden's taken over. Yeah,
he's played extremely smart the past few seasons. He's on the verge of being a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback at this point in time. If he plays the Chiefs 6 or 7 times a season, he would definitely be a top 10 quarterback.
All right, let's talk about Travis Kelce. I get into arguments on social media. I try not to argue with people on social media because you're not going to change anyone's mind. But for my money, top 10 in catches, very good blocker, knows how to run routes, knows how to find the open spot. He's by far the best tight end in the NFL. Am I wrong in saying that?
I don't believe you're wrong at all. Well, we can talk to Jared all day long, and he'll agree with us. He's
where does the hatred come from?
I don't know. Probably that push off in the Super Bowl would be my guess with Jared. He was a hothead coming out of college. He's a little cocky. He's a little arrogant. But that's what you want from an NFL player, in my opinion. He's 102 yards shy of his 5th straight 1,000-yard season.
With Mahomes spreading the ball around all over the place.
Well, the first 2 of those seasons were with Alex Smith, so you can't even say it's all Patrick Mahomes in that. The close. No tight end in NFL history has more than 3 in a row. That's Shannon Sharp. That's Kellen Winslow. That's Tony G, who we had in Kansas City for so many years. I went and looked at the first 8. We're in season 8 of Travis Kelce's career, and he missed his entire first season. Didn't play a snap in season 1. So really 7 seasons. And compared to Tony G over his first 8 seasons, he has 3 more receptions. He has 400 more yards. His TDs are just a shade less, but he's done that in 20 less games.
And many people believe Tony Gonzalez was the best tight end to ever play the game.
Tony Gonzalez is the best tight end to ever play the game. And I'm not, there's some talking heads in Kansas City who are trying to say that Travis Kelce might be the greatest tight end in history. He's going to have to play it out for another 5, 6, 7 more seasons to really solidify that. But if this upward trajectory continues to happen, that conversation needs to happen. He's just balling out constantly, and it doesn't look like he's fading anyway. 7 full seasons into this, he's just looking as good as ever. And that connection that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have is you can't beat it. They are.
I would say, John, would you say that right now Gonzalez is still better, but Kelce another 3 years he may overtake him?
I think it's a conversation that will happen. If we have another 3,000-yard seasons, it's hard. It would be hard not to make that connection between Gonzalez and Kelce. It's early. I want to say that, and he could pull a Gronk and say after this season, I'm done. I've made my money. I've got my championship or 2. Let's sail out into the sunset. But I think he's just a competitor, and he wants to win. And him and Patrick Mahomes are best friends, so why not see where they can go?
I think Gronk has a lot. We're talking about Rob Gronkowski, who was with the Patriots and then now with the Bucs. I think Gronkowski has a lot of other interest outside of football. I think Travis Kelce lives to play football.
Yeah, that's the family he comes from. That Kelsey family, it lives and breathes football, and he's showing it here in Kansas City. He's a big kid. I seen him put a smile, and then when he went over and rubbed Andy Reid's shoulders after that touchdown catch Sunday night, he looks like he's a kid playing backyard football. He reminds me a lot of Salvador Perez of the Royals, just out there having fun all the time, and winning helps. So. You take the pressure of losing off the table, and you can have fun. And when you have the best quarterback in football throwing it to you, 6, 8, 10 times a game, it makes your job pretty easy. And he makes it look really easy a lot of times.
I'm talking with John Meyer here on the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube. John, props for mentioning a Kansas City Royal player, which we don't get much on this show. So props to you for doing that. All right, break down this game today. Chiefs Bucks. What are your concerns? You never want to play Tom Brady off a loss. This is a game. A lot of people may call it a trap game because you just come off a rivalry against the Raiders, but I don't think so. I think the Chiefs adjust week to week. I don't think this is a trap game. I think the Chiefs roll here. Am I wrong for saying that?
I have it predicted 40-28. That's what I put on the blog. I think the Chiefs defensive line actually gets some pressure. That I think that's the key to the game. I
was shocked you wrote 40-28 because Tampa Bay has a pretty good defense.
Tampa does have a good defense. Chiefs have put up 30+ in 7 of their 10 games this year. The 23 or plus in all of them. So, points aren't really hard for the Chiefs to put out there. And I think Patrick Mahomes is playing the best football of his career right now. And that's hard to say when we're 2 seasons removed from a 50 touchdown, 5,000 yard season. He looks a lot more comfortable in this. And he hasn't had to throw out, those 450, 500 yard games because the Chiefs defense is better than it was. And I just like this matchup. I think Tampa Bay is reeling. Jeff and I talked about that on his show earlier this week. It just seems like there's something out of sorts in Tampa Bay. That roster, you look at it, and it is
a good roster. It's a really good roster.
But they just don't seem to be gelling on either side of the football right now. And if Kansas City can keep Patrick Mahomes upright, I think we have Sammy Watkins coming back, so that makes the more dynamic. Le'Veon Bell, I think, is going to get some more touches here today. I just see this as a good stepping stone for the remainder of the season for the Chiefs. I've been wrong about the defense here for the last 3 weeks. I hope they can prove me wrong again this week when, actually creating some pressure. Chris Jones and Frank Clark make way too much money to not be getting any pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
So are we going to say here, give me your final 4 in the AFC and the NFC, and then pick an AFC winner and an NFC winner? Because I could see there's no dominant team in the NFL other than the Chiefs, obviously 18-1. The Steelers are 10-0. I think they're pretty good. So I see the Chiefs and the Steelers in the AFC Championship. Right now I have the Rams, and I don't know who else in the NFC. Give me your final 4.
Let's start with the NFC. I agree with the Rams. They're just playing really good football right now. Seattle, I really like what they're doing on offense. They are just terrible on defense. Russell Wilson is, outside of Patrick Mahomes, I think the best quarterback in football right now. And quarterbacks playing well in January generally generate wins. So I could see Seattle there. Green Bay is going to have their hat in the mix.
The problem with Green Bay is you punch them in the mouth. I said this last week. They're a boxer, right? You punch them in the mouth, and they have no response. They don't want to get into an ugly match. They are perfect when Aaron Rodgers is throwing and they're winning. But in close games, you punch them in the mouth, they get knocked out. They don't get up.
Yeah, that big 3 that they have with Jones and Rodgers and Devontae Adams is really, really good. Yeah. And you have to respect that come playoff time. I don't know where New Orleans is going with the quarterback situation. If Breeze isn't there, I don't think Taysom Hill is going to be a long-term answer in New Orleans. Jameis Winston's too much of a wild card there. I'll have a firsthand look here in a couple of weeks when Kansas City travels to New Orleans. Maybe I'll have a better feel of that. I like Arizona. I just don't think
I think Arizona's a year up, but they are so exciting to watch.
They are. Kyler Murray, I know we had a conversation on an earlier episode of what we thought they were going to be, and they've completely surprised me. Cliff Kingsbury's done a masterful job in Arizona, which is completely surprising to me since he only won 7 games at Texas
disaster
Tech.
At Texas Tech. Disaster. All right, so, and the AFC
with Patrick Mahomes, 7 games when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback.
Exactly. All right, so give us the AFC prediction.
AFC predictions. I like Tennessee. I like Pittsburgh. Obviously, they're just finding a way to win. They're so good defensively. They take care of the ball. The same could be said with Tennessee. Vrabel has surprised me as a head coach over the past 2 seasons to get to the AFC Championship, and it might be a letdown for Tennessee fans that they don't make it to the AFC Championship game this year.
Can I make the argument that the Steelers' biggest weakness right now is Big Ben, because he's getting a lot like Aaron Rodgers, just a dumb turnover waiting to happen. Their defense is solid. They have great wide receivers and tight ends. Their running game is not as good as they used to be, but I don't trust Big Ben in a big spot.
He has the experience, which is hard to say with a lot of these other guys that he might be facing in the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill's going to have the experience. Phillip Rivers hasn't had a whole lot of playoff experience and none recently. So,
and it hasn't been greatly successful for Rivers.
It definitely hasn't been successful. So if they can stay in the Dome in Indianapolis, maybe, but he's going to have to go on the road to either Kansas City or Pittsburgh or maybe even Baltimore or Buffalo. So, I don't know where that is. Buffalo's probably my 4th best, or the team playing the 4th best right now in the AFC. Right. Baltimore kind of seems to be reeling. They've kind of lucked out here with getting that game pushed back to Tuesday. So we'll see what happens in that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. Baltimore, some still think is the 4th best team in the AFC. You can make an argument for 3 or 4 different teams for the 4th best team in the AFC.
John, with COVID,
so wide open.
With COVID running rampant, right? And one of the things that and the Steelers keep winning, that can't be good for the Chiefs, because they're going to have to keep playing their starters to try to get home field advantage, right? So, where some people may be able to get a rest, especially teams like the Ravens, not the Ravens, like the Titans, who are pretty much set where they're going to be in the playoffs. Is it kind of annoying that you've won 18 out of 19 games and you still have to play your starters come week 15, week 16?
A lot can happen in between here and there, because I was looking at Pittsburgh's remaining schedule, and they got some tough games up ahead of them. This week alone, they have Baltimore. Jim or Harbaugh's team there is going to want to come out and prove something, try to get ahead in the standings, because they're falling behind. Are they still outside the playoff picture at this point in time?
Yes, they're on the outside of the valley. Yeah.
So Harbaugh's team has a lot to prove this week. They got Buffalo in a couple weeks. Who else? They have to go to Cleveland to end the season. They have
they play the Colts too. The only thing I can say
at home, so they have 4 possible losses ahead of them. Kansas City they have this week, and then they have at New Orleans that are the tough stretches. So if week 15 when if Kansas City's at 14-1 and they're sitting at 13-2, it might change Andy Reid's thought process on that. With only having 1 bye this season, you almost have to play your starters through week 16 this year. Yep. Kansas City has been so good with the COVID protocols. They've had Chris Jones was on the COVID list for all of 18 hours or something like that because of contact tracing. Who else? Anthony Sherman missed a couple weeks. The fullback position is not super important to Kansas City. But, and McCole Hardman was out for a couple of days. They've had nothing outside of those 3 players in that organization. And now you're just seeing what COVID and what the lack of rules inside the organizations are doing elsewhere around the league. You have the Denver Broncos, who are going to play without a quarterback today because they haven't taken the precautions. I'm just super proud to root for an organization who's taken this as seriously as they have. to keep the players that need to be out on the field and taking every step to make that happen. It's just a shout out to the organization as a whole. I wish the rest of the NFL would get on board, but you alluded to it with Jerry Jones trying to even get the fans involved in this. I like seeing 16 or 17,000 Chiefs fans at Arrowhead, but I have no problem sitting on the couch rooting for them and letting them play in front of an empty stand if it is keeping people healthy. Now, I want to see Patrick Mahomes and them boys be successful and stay healthy, but I want to see my community stay healthy. And, our household personally has been affected by this COVID over the last couple of weeks, and it's a real deal. And people just, they want to go out. They want to do the Christmas shopping. They want to gather for Thanksgiving. It's not worth it right now. It's be a decent human being, cover up, wash your hands. Yes. I work in the restaurant industry. I have to go to work, and I just it annoys me to see so many people be so negligent with others around. It's unnecessary, especially for a multi-billion-dollar organization.
No, it's amazing because the Lakers and LeBron James and the NBA in the bubble, not one player got it, not one referee, not one announcer. And Jerry Jones, this asinine comment, I want more fans in the stadium as COVID is getting out of control. But like you said, be a good human being. It's not against your constitutional rights to wear a mask. We got to wear a seatbelt. We can't smoke in restaurants. We can't drink and drive. Well, you can, but you get paid for it. Be a decent human being. You make a great point, and Kansas City has done a tremendous job. Finally, I want to end with this. Look, my Oregon Ducks lost to Oregon State, and I've come to the realization that Oregon is never going to be an elite program. They're a very good program, which they'll win 9 or 10 games. We could say the same thing about your Kansas State when Snyder was the coach. They were a very good program, 9, 10 wins, but they lost yesterday to a bad Baylor team. They are now 4. What is going on with Kansas State? Where do you see this program going? And do you like Chris Klieman as their head coach?
I do like Chris Klieman. I think he's just really having a hard time getting the mindset of his winning ways into that program with all that's going on right now. When you lose a fifth year quarterback in Skylar Thompson a couple games into the season, you're going to struggle. Skylar Thompson done a lot of things well. He can control the game. He ran extremely well. He was an adequate passer. He was a great leader, and especially in close ball games, he won really well. And when you lose that, and then you trot out a true freshman quarterback that just hadn't had the time in the program, hadn't had the time in the playbook, didn't have the reps in the offseason because of everything that's going around him, you were going to struggle. My problem is they're predictable. Messingham has just
very boring, right? But here's the thing: it's always hard to take over for a legend. Snyder was a legend in that program, but I think Chris has the tools, but they look so methodical.
Yeah, and when you have the quarterback to be methodical and to run that quarterback power, that RPO, it looks a lot different than what's being trotted out there right now. I think we have one offensive lineman that started the season in the same position that he's currently in. Your two best players on offense are a true freshman quarterback and a true freshman running back. That is the exact opposite of Derrick Henry. He's 5'5", 155 pounds. He's flashy, and I think he will be, an all Big 12 running back at some point in time in his career if he sticks with the program. That's the other thing. K-State's had 20, 25 players enter the transfer portal since the start of the season.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Going on in every program,
right? But that's a lot. That's a lot. One of the things that teams like K-State does, Iowa does this, is they get players that are committed to stay there for 4 years. So that's why when those players at Iowa develop as their third year and fourth year, that their team becomes better. Are you concerned with the way this program, the direction it's going, or do you like the direction despite having a down year?
I'm not in a position to really say one way or the other with 2020. I like the Oklahoma win. That was fun. Hate the Baylor loss. I cannot stand Baylor. I don't think they should be a program in the Big 12 anymore with all the stuff that they put.
The rapes that were covered up for years. Yes.
It was just horrible. And how they can, still have Big 12 membership after all that stuff is just a disgrace in my opinion. And I've just never been a fan of their program, and losing the way we did yesterday was frustrating. I've watched parts of, 2 or 3 games. I generally work Saturday afternoon. So, I haven't had a whole lot invested into this season, but I like Chris Kleiman. I think he has the mindset to turn around a K-State program, to follow a legend, because he followed some really good coaches at North Dakota State.
Right.
And I think this isn't a stepping stone job for him. This is where he wants to be, and that's what Kansas State deserves, is coaches who want to be there and want to make that their career stop. And I think he is. And the transfers, from everything that I've read, from everything that I've seen, they're not buying into the Chris Kleiman way. And it's going to take 3 or 4 seasons for that to fully develop. I like the fact that we're getting, 50, 60 guys that are freshmen, sophomores, juniors, a couple of years into the program, are getting a lot of playing time so they can develop and get some film on tape if they do transfer out. It's good for their player development. I don't know if it's really good for program development, but I'll push this season off to the side. I'll see what 2021 has to offer. Hopefully Will Howard can step into the starting role next year and take some leaps forward with a full off season ahead of him. And I like Deuce Vaughn. He reminds me so much of Sproles. I don't think he has I don't think he has the finish that Sproles had, but that I think can be developed over time.
All right, John, just hang on for a second. I'm going to bring on Rico, Show Me the Muzzy, Graziano, because I have a feeling that we're going to have you 3 guys on, you 2 guys on, because I don't see any scenario where it's not Pittsburgh, which is Rico's team, against Kansas City in the AFC Championship. And Rico, what a beautiful background you got there.
Thank you. I put up the Christmas tree, and I figured, you know what, let me pick up my background game. So I figured I showed a living room.
Is that a TV on the floor?
No, actually, that's a heater. The room is really big, so it's got a high ceiling, so it just gets cold in there always. California is not as warm as you'd like to think. We sometimes hit like 58 degrees out here.
You better go get your parka at 58 degrees in California.
All right, John, thanks so much for coming on. How can we follow you and support you?
Okay, you see my Twitter handle up there, John Meyer KC. I also have a blog that I put out each and every week that previews Chiefs games and some local roasteries here in Kansas City. It's chiefscoffeecorner.food.blog. On Instagram at John Meyer87 as well. Find me out there. Monty does a great job of retweeting a bunch of my stuff. Let's go Chiefs.
All right, John, thanks so much.
Hey, John, last time Pittsburgh played KC, I think we didn't even have to score a touchdown to beat you guys.
18-16, 2018 playoffs. Let's talk about, or 2017.
Rico, bringing the trash talk already.
Back anymore.
All right, John, thanks so much.
I hope it is that game. That'd be a great game.
It'd be a great game. I'm looking forward to it.
No, you too.
John, listen, my 2 guests, Anna Lewis, John, and John Meyer, do a tremendous job. All right, Rico, let's get right to it. What the hell's going on with COVID? The Denver Broncos don't even have a quarterback. This is the problem I have, Rico. When you have teams like the Jets, when you have teams like the Bengals, when you have teams who don't care because their season is over, how do we avoid this?
Well, there's no avoiding it. It's got to be personal responsibility. And you know what? I think the NFL, they had enough time to sit there and really figure out what to do in a lot of their situations. And this one with the 3 quarterbacks for Denver is a really, interesting fact. twisting the whole thing. Because if they bring in a new quarterback from outside the organization, he still needs to go through a 2-week protocol, which I didn't know that the practice squad players weren't considered part of the bubble, because I'm sure there's a practice squad quarterback that is there on the team. And now what can the NFL do about it? Nothing. It's about personal responsibility, like you were saying earlier. It falls on the players. If you have a strength coach in Baltimore who's sick and doesn't want to say it because he doesn't want to not go to work because he's such a football freak, I know strength coaches, they're crazy. They're like over passionate, and nobody wants to believe they have the symptoms because they just don't want to believe that. Well,
I think they're invincible. And again, my concern is not the players for the most part, because these are physical specimens who are healthy. My concern is, the players' wives, mother who lives with them, or the assistant coach who's 70 years old. And we could get into all that, but I have to stop the show right now because look at this. Wait, no, right here. Mariah.
Look, I got one. And I got my poinsettia.
Wow, look at you, Rico.
I go. You got to see the front of the house. You got to see. I might just go remote from front of the house next week.
Do it. Get everyone riled up. But Rico, when you have people, okay, and here's the biggest difference. In the NBA, the players run the league. LeBron James, what he says goes. So if he wants a bubble, he's getting the bubble. The problem is I was going to almost say the A word. You got jackasses like Jerry Jones who are saying they want to increase the fans. He doesn't want 30. He wants 50,000 fans. First of all, why would anyone go to see a Dallas game when they're 3-7 and they suck? But he just wants money. So in the NBA, you have the players who run the league. In the NFL, you have the owners.
Well, nothing. You said it. Each league has their own vibe, right? So the NHL is about the integrity of the league. The NFL, the owners run the league. In baseball, no single player is bigger than the league in general. And basketball, the players run the league. Players run the league. Like LeBron plays for the Lakers. LeBron plays for whoever. When you're on baseball, like. You're a no. That's why they don't put names on the back of the Yankees jersey.
Well, yeah, of course, because you're not bigger. But what I'm saying here, Rico, Andrea, they do have a protocol, but players aren't following it. You think the Jets, who live in New York, and they're 0-10 and now going to be 0-11. You think the Jets players are not going to go to a bar, are not going to go out on a date?
I think I think the NFL should implement more fines. To players, because they have the tracing on the track tracing on their wrists and the whole bit, like of where they go and what they've been doing. So I think there should be a stronger fine. They're putting the whole league at risk and other players at risk from their being careless.
Listen,
and whatnot.
The Saints, a winning organization, just got fined hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they lost a 7th-round draft pick. And I think if you get a fine again, then it goes to 6th. Then it goes to 5th round. So they're losing a draft pick because they celebrated in the Tampa Bay after the Tampa Bay game, and they didn't wear their mask. They didn't follow any protocol.
Well, I saw when those two different players last week jumped into the crowd. I thought the referee should have pulled them right off the field. They scored a touchdown. It was two different. I can't remember which games they were, but it was two different games in the afternoon, and one of them jumped into the crowd like they do in Green Bay, and I think a referee should just pull them right off the field. I think it shouldn't be one of those things that you deal with after the game. If you're having contact with fans and jumping into the arms of people during a game, not only should you be fined, you should be taken off the field immediately.
So, Rico, let's get to it right now. You are doing a tremendous job. You have 9 winning weeks, 2 losing weeks against the spread. Okay, let's start right now. The game Tuesday. What's the spread? Last I heard it was going to be 6 points for the Steelers. Is that what you have?
Well, no, it went up to 7. It went to 7, which I'm surprised it hasn't gone higher, purely because
let's keep it at 7 then for the purpose of this segment.
Yeah, it's going to be a blowout. Pittsburgh's playing against a second-rate team. They're not the Ravens. They're not the Ravens that we know going on the field. They're going with RG3, who has got clear. He's not Lamar Jackson. You don't have to play him like Lamar Jackson. His arm is about the same as Lamar Jackson. Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh's still running on all cylinders. There's nobody there. There's nobody of significance who's going to be not on the field. So you got the A squad going against the B- squad. So I think 7 points is an easy cover for them. Short of Pittsburgh coming in with their heads down, which they won't, because this is the second
These
time
two teams hate each other, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but this is also a second time a team in the NFL is, messed around with Pittsburgh's schedule, and people are pointing fingers at Pittsburgh being baby about it, but you have a set schedule, a set week. You do the same thing every week, and now your whole schedule is thrown off. Now Pittsburgh plays Tuesday, Sunday, instead of playing Thursday, Sunday. That's a big difference. It's a 4-day swing, and it's not anything of their fault. But they just keep taking it in stride, and and a lot of players got a lot of flack on Twitter for being like this. Sucks,
Listen, the Steelers defense, they're only averaging 17 points a game. Give us a score you think the Steelers are going to roll here.
Yeah, they're going to roll. It's going to be 32-10, something like that. I don't see.
Wow, so you're expecting a blowout.
I expect a blowout, not just because Pittsburgh's my team. I just don't.
But Rico, these two teams always play in like a field goal game.
Yeah, you're right. They do, but this is not the same two teams. The names are there, but the teams on the field are very different. And how much prep time did the Ravens have with all these new players coming in? What they have 7 days, 8 days to get prepared. It's like today with Denver. The spread is 14 points, but Denver, how are they going to score? They're not going to score.
Okay, listen, Rico. Listen, you don't have to. You made a convincing argument. I don't know why you're yelling at me. Listen, okay, I agree with this. Those fines are like a parking ticket. Like, what are we doing here with the NFL players? How do you beat this?
And you make a great. I honestly think if this starts to go, I think in 3 weeks they should do what the NBA did and just do a cutoff. That's it. Just cut off all the teams that are already out of the playoffs and kind of like start.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Like, just make a point and be like week 14 or week 13. That's it. It's over. We're going to start our playoffs there. Because waiting any longer, like you said, with teams like the Jets.
The only reason why they won't do that is this. Gambling is key in the NFL. Fantasy football people would lose their minds if, let's say, if you have a player on the Jets, you deserve to not even be in the playoffs in fantasy football. But, teams from the Lions, Tyler Boyd, the wide receiver from the Bengals, is very good. But bad teams, a lot of guys on San Francisco are not going to be able to play.
Well, it comes down to, do we want to see a Super Bowl or do we want to play fantasy football? Yes, I don't want them to do what I'm saying. It goes against everything I believe from the gambling standpoint to the whatchamacallit.
Why are you and Jared agreeing all of a sudden? What is happening here?
No, because it's true. I think they might have to. We're at a point where, and you couldn't have said it any better. You said it. Once you have teams that have players who don't care, they're like, I'm 0-10. I'm going to go to my aunt's house tonight I'm going there for Thanksgiving, or they're coming over. So I would love to see the season finish the way it's supposed to, because I'm winning in 4 of my fantasy leagues. But at the end of the day, like, if I'm the owners and I want to see a Super Bowl in the playoff, and be, competitive, then, you got to do it. What happens when you got one of those teams?
At the end of the day, he said it.
What happens if Mahomes or Roethlisberger get COVID and because of playing a team that's not going to get to the playoffs before the playoffs?
But wait, Rico, you're 4-0 in your how many fantasy football leagues are you in?
6. And
you're winning in 4 of them.
I'm 4 of them. I'm in first or second place. 3 of them I'm in first, and 1 of them I'm in second.
Lambasted by me. You're down 4-7. You're 4-7 against me.
Well,
just throw that out there.
I'll be 5-7. It's the comeback.
No, you won't.
Baby.
No, you won't.
Comeback. Oh, no. I discussed this team very long and hard with Levi. I had to bring in my ringer. He said I was thinking too much on the cuff. I got yelled at for losing to you.
Listen, George is going to be all riled up. The 4-6 San Francisco 49ers play the 7-3 Rams. 2 absolute hunks at coaching staff. These guys are beautiful men. San Francisco has won 3 straight games versus the Rams. Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay. What do you see this game at?
George has said that he doesn't like the match. He said to me, I think it was a few weeks ago, he doesn't like the San Francisco upfront matchup against the Rams, and he's usually right. But I'm going to go with Greg. I'm not going to talk about Jerry Jones, and I'm going to go with the Rams today. I like the Rams are playing great. You can't argue with what they're doing.
They are,
Defense
but
looks great. Their
Kyle
offense-
Shanahan has won 3 straight games against him.
Yeah, but I know, but there's a different. You can't go. What does Levi say? You can't predict the future by the past when it comes to football. You can't live.
So you're 1-5 picking Rams games. So now you're going the other way, and you're going to pick the Rams.
Well, I won because I picked the Rams.
Okay. So what's the score of this game? They're favored by 7.
I can't put a score. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure. I'm not just going to guess the score here because it can go either way.
Rico,
how about this? 28-14. I think San Francisco's not going to. It's 28-17. How's that one?
Okay. But do you do any preparation for this show? I just asked you for the score of a game that you're betting on. That you tell me, and you go, I can't pick the score.
I'm betting. I'm not worried about the score. If the score is 75-55, I don't care as long as the spread was under 25. I'm all right.
I'm very worried here because Jared is agreeing with you, and Greg is agreeing with you all day.
Me and Greg, we bonded on Tuesday.
You really did. You bonded on Tuesday, which is disturbing because he's as insane as you are. Okay, 5-5 Bears at the 7-3. 5-5 Bears, 7-3 Packers. Green Bay is 17-4 against the Packers since 2010. Mitchell Trubisky is going to start at quarterback for the Bears. I don't think this makes the difference. I think the Packers win ugly. What say you?
I say the Packers win pretty and blow them out because purely if the Bears score more than 10 points, I will be highly impressed. I don't see them scoring at all. I mean, I'm giving them a blown play for a touchdown and then a good drive at the end of the game to like with 7 minutes left where they kick a field goal and they're down by 20 points. I'm laughing at this comment, 32-10. I'm looking at this one.
I'm laughing at you and Greg being geniuses. I'm laughing at that. All right, so you got the Packers rolling.
Yeah, I got Pack rolling all over them. It's going to be this might be one of the easier picks of the week just because, again, Chicago can't score.
Rico, I'm going to say something here that's going against the grain. I gave you 3 games that are division rivals, the Steelers, the 49ers, the Rams, San Francisco, and Green Bay, Chicago. All those 6 teams play each other tight, and you're calling for a blowout in all of them.
Well, I didn't say the Rams San Francisco was going to be a blowout. That's going to be a good game.
Okay, but you like the favorite in all of them.
Yes, I like the favorite in all of them.
You don't want to change that pick. Any of them.
I don't want. I like Rams.
Division rivals mean nothing.
Rams, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, and my confident one is Green Bay. You know what? I'm so confident about that one. It worries me. My confidence in that one.
Well, okay. Listen, Andrea's a diehard Bears fan. She's not going to be happy, but you know what? And same with Pam.
She knows better than me how bad their offense is, and now they're bringing in a even more inferior quarterback. I told you it's not going to make anything better. Yep, that's right. So
you don't think Mitch has a good game today?
No, I think they had no choice but to go to Mitch, and it's one of those things. It's like that they're in the same position as Denver. They have nowhere else to go.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I think the Packers win, but I'm putting the camera on me because I think Mitchell Trubisky has a very good game.
I don't know. So wait, what is Joe's thing? I have no proof to back that up, but
I have no evidence, but you're wrong.
You have no evidence, but you're wrong.
That's on here.
I have no facts, but you're wrong. That's it. You
okay.
have no facts.
All right, Rico, listen. You beat me last week by 0.5. By 0.5 because Matt Ryan, that coward little mutant that I call him, didn't even get me 1 point. If Matt Ryan got me 1 point, I would have beaten you, and I would have been up 8-3. So, for all intents and purposes, I'm up 8-3 in our fantasy football challenge.
So, just so you know, you see how you feel about Matt Ryan because of 1 week? Now you understand why I hate Phillip Rivers so much.
Okay. Listen,
okay?
Matt Ryan,
now you get it. Now you understand why I just lament him.
All right, let's get to the fantasy football. I get the first pick. I'm going with Josh Allen of Buffalo. Look at the face on Rico right there. Look at that face.
Painful.
Is that who you were going to pick?
I have Josh Allen because right now my next one would be, and I think I'd burn him out. It'd be my second time using Mahomes.
Yeah, it is your second time using Mahomes.
That's it. Mahomes is off the board for me after
Mahomes
today.
is off the board for you. I'm picking Josh Allen because, look, the Jets scored 34 points against the Chargers. The Chargers' defense is terrible, so that's why I think Josh Allen's going to rush for 50 yards, throw for over 300 yards. You and Levi were heavy on Allen this week, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. He's on the list. He's above Mahomes. He's above Mahomes on our list. I'm very upset about it.
All right, who's your running back?
Well, we're going to let him cook, Mr. Dalvin Cook from the Vikings.
That's a good pick. I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara. I think there's going to be so many 3-and-outs in that Saints game that Alvin Kamara is going to have at least 2 touchdowns.
That's true. That's going to be, I mean, their defense isn't as ravaged, but they're going to be on the field all day. So
yes, exactly.
That's going to be, I'm going to go with my other running back is Nick Chubb playing Jacksonville.
Oh, wow. Very nice. You know, I was going to take him, but I'm glad you did because I'm going to show that. I mean, listen, he did not play well and he did not play a lot against the Colts, but I think Derrick Henry is full on beast mode starting today. So I'm taking Derrick Henry right there, and we'll move to my
I was going to take Henry. I had him on my list.
Okay, my wide receiver, I'm going to have to go with Devontae Adams against the Bears. I know you love him. He's just putting up numbers in his sleep.
Well, I'm going to combine Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill. Okay, well, that's good because I'm going to go with Diggs, who's leading the NFL in receptions. So this way Rico, I'm giving you gut punches today, aren't I?
I know, because you know what? This guy's lost me 3 games alone, and I picked him because he does nothing. I'm going to take.
I was going to take him, DK Metcalf. I was going to take him.
I'm going to go with DK, but he either puts up 75 points or makes tackles. That's his gig. That's this guy's gig. Drives me crazy.
And who's your tight end?
Now, you see, I'm going to go with Waller because I was going to go with Kelsey, but I'm going to go with Waller, Darren Waller from the Raiders.
I'm going to go with Kelsey just for the fact that, you got Tyreek Hill, so that would do it. Now, there's 3 teams I could pick here. I could pick the Steelers against the Ravens, okay? I could also pick the Saints against the Broncos. The Saints dominated last week, Matt Ryan. And believe it or not, Rico, I'm going to give you a little hint here. The Browns have let up 13 points since week 8, and they're playing the terrible Jaguars. But I'm going to have to go with the Saints here because with no quarterback in Denver, I got to figure a couple sacks and a couple of – Rico, every pick I had. Tell the fans how miserable you are right now.
You're picking like the game that's not even real. Like you're picking a game – like that game should not even be allowed to be picked because it's like it's like going into a baseball game and you have your pitchers coming up from the Little League. You know,
Rico,
like they have their emergency. Their running back will be throwing the football today. Like,
what if I told you that I tapped your phone and I listened to you and Levi's conversation? Because every pick I had,
this stuff goes unsaid. Like, I mean, I don't even. I literally. I don't even know who to. Because you know what? I was looking at Pittsburgh's defense also, but I might just take the against the Jets. I'm thinking of taking the Raiders. I feel it's a risky play, but you know what? I'm going to. Just because I want to see today, I'm going to take the Raiders defense against.
Okay, hold on. Let me help you out here. Miami is playing the Jets.
I mean, I'm sorry. Thank you. You know what? You're right. I have that written down wrong.
Okay, so the Dolphins.
I'm going to go with Pittsburgh against the Ravens. This
is a great analogy.
It's like playing Bo Jackson on Tech. Yeah, unfair. Yeah. The sweep play all day.
Look at Jared. You and Jared are like, we got to get Jared back on the show because you guys are like in cahoots.
It should be. It's the fact that they made the line 14. They can make it 50. It doesn't matter. The Saints are gonna. It's not like Peyton's gonna. Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, is gonna have any type of.
And listen, one thing we know about Peyton, he loves to run the score up. He is notorious for that.
Oh, and he just got fined for it, so he's even more mad at this team.
Rico, I'm looking at my team. I mean, Devontae Adams, Diggs, Kelsey, Josh Alvin, Alvin Kamara, and the Saints D. You want to just give me this the win. You want to just not even go through the motions. You want to concede.
Last week I won by a half a point. That's all it takes. It takes one little hole in the dam. That's it. I cracked it.
You can't feel confident this week.
I feel, you know what it is that you jumped all over the Saints. So, I could have picked I wasn't thinking, but we'll see. We'll see. You know what? How about this little niche? I'm the Saints. I know I'm going to win. Why am I going to put my stud out there and I'll just run Murray all day? You don't need to run Kamara. Why would I put my stud out there to get hurt?
Well, because there's still. That's a good point.
They already somewhat split.
I could say this. Listen, I could say the same thing about Nick Chubb in Cleveland. Why play him when you can play Kareem Hunt? You're playing the 1-9 Jacksonville Jaguars, so it works both ways.
Yeah, but Jacksonville's got a team that has an actual team.
Okay. Well, they lost 9 straight games, so I don't know how much of a team that is. I mean, they won their first game of the year. By the way, Rico, you're killing it at 9-2. I'm 54 games above 500. Games.
You're crushing it. But you pick every game. You pick every game, so that's hard. That's really hard.
It's really hard. Okay, Rico, let's get to our favorite part of the show. We talk about this every week. Rico's rant. Rico, the floor is yours.
Well, I keep thinking about what I want to say, and I just keep saying the same thing over and over this week, is that just being thankful for my family and friends. And, I woke up on Thanksgiving and I was really excited to be waking up on Thanksgiving and having that day. And I said to myself on that morning, I said, why can't I just do this every day? Why can't I look forward? Why is it so hard for me to look forward to a Tuesday
every day?
Every day, instead of wake up every day and go, again? Why can't I just wake up and because it's not like it was easy, Thanksgiving is a lot of work. I had to cook, I had to clean up, I do all this stuff. And I'm trying to refocus myself to have that Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day morning mentality. Cause it's really hard. I had one friend come over and we cooked for 25 people. So, but it made me feel good to give, I think the best gratitude.
Yes, because 364 days out of the year, you're taking. You're not a giver.
Oh yeah. At least 355, easy.
So you cooked for people and you sent meals out. Is that what you did?
Yeah. My neighbor across the street, which is great. We gave him a big tray of turkey, ham, stuffing, sweet potato, a whole bunch of stuff, a huge tray. He came over yesterday with a bunch of stuff from one of my favorite Jewish delis, like cookies, breads. He just came over with a giant bag of stuff, which is really sweet of him, which I didn't think he would, but he's a nice guy. And we gave it to 2 other friends that we have that have autoimmune diseases who couldn't go anywhere. So we brought them big trays of food and everything. And, we divvied it up pretty good. So I'm happy we were able to do that.
Listen, as long as George keeps, writing this stuff, he's going to be booked next week. All you got to do is compliment me.
George, I wish George was on right now to find out if he thinks that they can. And by the way, there's an algorithm wrong with the Facebook thing, because I was on a thread with Levi and 2 other of my friends, and my friend goes, "You could see the show on Facebook," and I was like, "Oh," because I always go to YouTube. I go to the Facebook and it had 0 viewers and it was 5 of us on. I know personally. It showed.
No, it's weird. Listen, it's weird.
The only thing, 1 and then went to 0. And I said, "Are you guys watching it?" I'm watching. We're all.
First of all, how come Levi's not following me on Facebook? That's got to stop right there. Second of all, I never worry about on the top right-hand corner what it says. At the end of the week, I look at the views, and we're getting between 700 and 1,000 views each show. A lot of people can't watch this live, so I don't care. Sometimes it's right now it says 13. Before it said 33. Before it said 24. I never look at Facebook. I just look at the YouTube numbers.
Yeah. That's what the funny thing is. There's 5 of us on, and it was showing. We were like, "Do we count?" Anything? But yeah, Levi. I got to talk to Levi.
Tell Levi to get me follow me on Facebook, because this way I can post my articles. He can read them. He could gain knowledge, and he can help you even more. Because let's face it, you're going to lose this week.
No, it's impossible. I have Levi. I got the Jewish dream. I got the philosopher with me.
I picked every pick that Levi was going to pick. The
You're right,
Josh
you
Allen, the
did.
Devontae Adams, the Stephon Diggs.
Let
I
me
saw
tell you,
your face.
all it takes is Mahomes to connect to a Tyreek Hill, and it lights up the board. The board just goes.
Rico, end an argument with me and Jared. Is Travis Kelce the best tight end in the NFL?
By far. I think Travis Kelce, he's not, you can't consider him a tight end. He's a wide receiver one.
Okay,
Wide
Jared
receiver
said he's
one.
not the best tight end.
What's that?
Jared keeps saying he is not the best tight end.
And who did he think's better? Mark Andrews?
He thinks like Waller is better. George Kittle can't even stay healthy.
If Kelce was on another team, Kelce would get the. Kelce already gets the balls. I think Kelce's easy, eventually Hall of Famer. Kelce is he's
the best tight end in the NFL by
He
far.
didn't get that wide open against the Raiders because he's a slouch.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't so much a blown coverage or him seeing the gap in the defense.
He runs phenomenal routes. He always finds the open.
Hands like glue. Glue.
See, Kittles can't stay healthy.
That's the problem. Kittle's had one. Let's talk about it. Kittle's had like 2 good years. He had one amazing year that nobody knew him, where he broke the record, and then that was like, what has he done for me lately?
Hey, listen, if you can't stay healthy, I have no use for you. That's why, Rico, you're always on this show, even when you're injured, even when you're sick, even when you have a pulled groin muscle. So I really appreciate you taking the time. 9-2 against the spread, kicking ass and taking names.
All right, love you, bro. Yo, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we don't really talk socially, so I'm not going to get into my Thanksgiving. It was fine. You know.
What did you guys have? Did you have some slow cooked pork or something?
No, we had I posted it on Facebook. You saw my parents dancing on Facebook, by the way.
Yes. Again, what is it? 60 years together, your parents.
Reyes and George Perez. People thought it was their anniversary. It wasn't their anniversary. I just put 60 years together, and they're still dancing like that. I
thought it was their anniversary too, because didn't they whatchamacallit, last time you posted for them, didn't they go viral?
I posted them on Christmas Eve, which I'll do again, 2.1 million views.
I wish we had those numbers.
2.1 million views. I've been doing the show for 3 months. I don't have 2.1 million views.
We should really put a tag. You should put like on the bottom, go visit the full Monty show.
Yeah, just have them and put my hashtag with my parents, because let's face it, they can dance.
They can dance. Your father can dance. He leads this. He's the lead.
Listen, all the success my dad has had is great, but my mom's the driving force behind the relationship.
Oh, of course.
You know that.
Your mom's the best, but if I had to hang out and get drunk with somebody, it'd be your dad.
Yes, well, yes. Unfortunately, I do that too many times nowadays. So, All right, Rico, love having you on. Take care. We'll see you next week. Oh, Rico, by the way, we are not on Tuesday because of the football game. So we will see you next Sunday.
I was going to call in sick on Tuesday, so I'm glad that you said that.
All right, Rico. Talk to you later. Great job. Rico, kicking butt and taking names. He's got 9 winning weeks, 2 losing weeks, betting against the spread, winning people money. Now it is time for Monty's Extra Point. So, as a sports writer, sports announcer, sports broadcaster, whatever you want to call me, entertainer, this is what I'm here for. Sarah Fuller became the first female to participate in a Power 5 football game. Now, what's the Power 5? The Power 5 is the major conferences, the SEC, the ACC, Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10. She kicked the ball off yesterday in Vanderbilt. This is what I'm here for when it comes to sports. You know what I'm not here for when it comes to sports? 2 old men fighting in the ring like grudge match. Because 75% of my friends watched this disaster yesterday known as Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., 2 guys over 50 years old fighting in the ring to a draw. And the undercard was even worse. It was Robinson, okay, the former Knick basketball player who's not a boxer, against a YouTube sensation guy, and Nate Robinson got knocked out. And you people paid for this crap. 70% of my friends paid for 2 50-year-olds to fight and a former basketball player and a YouTube sensation. Are you kidding me, guys? Are you kidding me? We have a reality TV star in the White House. We have reality TV shows every day taking shows away from actors. And you're now going to have two guys past their prime and two guys who aren't really boxers. You're going to pay to watch this crap? You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem with America and the decline of what is good and what's not. This is not good boxing. This is not good boxing. This was entertaining because it was a movie. And you guys are paying for this. I'm here for real sports stories like Sarah Fuller, breaking the barrier. I am not here for this bull crap. And shame on anyone like Colin Cowherd who actually paid for this. Colin Cowherd is on Fox Sports. He's the #1 sports talk show host. And he's commenting about this fight like it's a real event. Again, we have a reality TV show on the White House star. We have reality TV all over the place. I don't want to watch this when boxing. I want to watch real athletes competing, not this bullcrap. So shame on everyone who watched this and gave this attention. Because the more money you put in this, the less quality it's going to be. I say pay for quality, not quantity. This was an absolute joke. And shame on you guys for watching it. Shame on every one of you for paying for that crap. All right. I want to thank Anna Lewis. Always does a tremendous job. I want to thank John Meyer, and I want to thank Rico Show Me the Money Graziano. Remember, we are trending #3 on YouTube. We are trending #3 on YouTube. So if you like this show, sports and comedy, tell one of your friends, tell one of your family members, because our goal is to do this 5 days a week. And we are off on Tuesday. We will see you next Sunday. In the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.